Um, Everybody enjoying themselves? Yeah, good. So we're gonna have some time for after, and this 360 photo booth will be done at the end for you guys to start hanging out in it. So it'll be fun. But I'm gonna start off with our bridal panel, and these are all past brides. They all got married pretty recently. So I wanted to ask them a few questions, and I'm gonna let you guys ask questions too. At the end, so I'm just going to kind of go through the ones that I have that I think are important for you guys to hear, and then after that, you guys can ask anything that you have. Okay, so it'll be pretty cool. So, do I have to? I have to pass the mic over to. No, we have another mic. Oh, okay, we got another mic. Cool. Yeah, we are
Testing,
fancy.
testing.
MP is fancy. I don't know about me. Uh, all right, so I'm going to start off with an easy one, ladies, just to start. Let's go with name, wedding venue, and how many guests. Simple.
Hi. Can you hear me?
I think so.
Yeah. All right. Hi, my name is Crystal. I got married September 4th, so 5 weeks ago this weekend. Woohoo! We got married at St. Sophia Greek Orthodox Church and at the Coco Plum in Coral Gables, and it was absolutely beautiful.
How many people?
Oh, I'm sorry. We had 120 guests invited, and we ended up having about 108 total at the venue.
Hi, my name is Caitlin. I had my wedding at St. Anthony's in Fort Lauderdale, and the reception was at the Ritz Carlton in Fort Lauderdale. I got married July 24th, so about 3 months ago, and I think we invited like 190, and there were about 156 there.
Hello, I'm Meredith. I got married at Deering Estate, so we had the ceremony and reception at the same venue, and we had 80 guests.
All right, so these are our beautiful ladies. Can we give them a round of applause? Thank you for joining me on a random Sunday with mimosas, though. And I do want to, yes, and I do want to congratulate Caitlin. She's pregnant. That's why she's drinking water, but it's okay. We'll have a mimosa for you. All right, so my first actual question for you guys was, what was the biggest thing you learned about planning a wedding?
Oh, so much. You leave with skills that you're never going to use again. So I think one of the main things that was super important that I learned was a little bit of balance. I feel like weddings come with a lot of pressure for tradition and what your families do, and you're combining two different families who have maybe two different traditions and things that are important to them, and you do have to balance. But in the end, it really was what my husband Tomas and I wanted. So being able to kind of meet those expectations and also being able to say, this is what's important, keeping tradition and family, but also it was a day for us and how we wanted to celebrate. So I think that was probably one of the best things I learned, because we continue to use that when families want holidays and things like it's continued to be a really great skill, and also brought us closer to our in-laws, which was great.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. I didn't think about that, because even now, obviously, years married later and now with children, you have to then continue. It keeps going, that's not the only time that you deal with the other half. You have to continue doing that, and you have to find that balance between yourselves, your families, and then your in-laws and everybody else around you. So it is a big balance. So standing your ground at the wedding is good for later.
Yes, we
as well.
love healthy boundaries.
It's hard, I know, and there's a lot of moms here.
I think the best thing I learned was just staying organized the whole time and remembering that it's your day. I had so many decisions to make. I was in love with that aisle planner thing that she gave us. And you just got to stay on top of everything. But kind of going with what she said, it's your day. Every decision you make, just remember it's your day. You don't want to regret that you didn't do something or that you did something for somebody else. And Jess helped me realize that a lot, because there were a lot of decisions I had different people pushing in on me to do. And I ended up not making some decisions that I'm so happy I did, because it was my day at the end, and it ended up being amazing.
Hi. So really, my thing was hire a wedding planner. That's what I learned.
And for her, I do want She didn't hire us from the beginning. She hired midway through when she realized it wasn't going well. Okay.
Yes.
Caitlin, actually, Caitlin, you were also
I was
from the
during COVID.
yeah, when she realized things were not going well. And Meredith actually was technically full from start to finish, but we had 90 days to plan her wedding because it was supposed to be elsewhere and then ended up here. You can elaborate that later on.
Yeah, we went from a destination wedding to planning everything here at the beginning of the year is when we decided to change everything in January because of COVID. And the first phone call I made was to Jessica, and I said, listen, I don't know that I can do this all by my own in 9 months. I have a very demanding job. My husband's a pilot, so he flies a lot. And we are short in time and a lot of decisions to be made. One of the things I learned that she taught me was take a few deep breaths. Everything will work out. You may plan everything 100% to a T. I love checklists, which is why we get along so well. The aisle planner thing was amazing, kept me on track. But at the end of the day, we're still humans. We still have families. We have other things to take care of. So be kind to yourself. Everything is going to work out. And it may not be 100% how you figure it out, but it still turns out to be the best day ever. So,
As it should be, because you're getting married, right? Isn't that the point? That's what I tell people. I'm like, things don't always go perfect. That's so terrible to even say. Like, I'm like, even with me, my girls, doesn't matter. It doesn't go perfect. It's not supposed to. Anytime you do anything, if you've ever done anything in your house, any sort of event, you know it doesn't go 100%. You know what I mean? But it should still be beautiful because you're marrying the love of your life, and it's still going to all the big stuff. You know, I can clearly remember. Obviously, I'm a wedding planner. Clearly remember easily like 2 or 3 things in mind that I was like, damn, you know, wasn't great. But it doesn't matter. Everything else was. Nobody else realized it was just me. You know what I mean? So those things are important to understand too, you know? So it's good. Is that all? Oh, that's all 3 of you, yes. I apologize. The next question. No, I know. Well, I wrote down a few, so we're going to go through them first. So then I put, what would you do differently during the planning portion? So what would you have done differently during the actual planning part only?
So I think I stressed a lot about the involvement of my fiance in the planning. We all want them to, I'm sorry, boys, you're sitting up here in the front looking all cute and dressed up. Thank you for coming, A+. However, this is as good as it
Round
gets,
of applause
girls.
for the grooms. There's 1, 2, 3. We got a few. A few men. Thank you, men.
So they're wonderful. They're there to calm our nerves and tell us everything is going to be okay. And we want to just tell them, just shut up and do something. But at the end of the day, they're just trying to be supportive and be there for us and make it special for us. Peter is amazing, and anything I did ask him to do, he would go and do it, but it did require prompting. So it actually caused a lot of bickering sometimes between us when I was getting stressed about things that needed to be done. So I think I would just take that away. I would just give him a task and say, okay, for the next 3 weeks, this is what your task is, and just forget about the rest. They don't care about flowers. They just want to know that there's going to be good food, good music, and good booze. So, and that they get to marry you.
Yeah.
That I would.
I think what I would have done differently is the first thing you do when you get the ring is you get the venue. You got to know that they have the day. Then you go after the dress. You go after the DJ. You go after the main big vendors. Everything else, I'm sure Jess remembers, I kind of pushed off the last 90 days. So like the small things going on Etsy, the gifts for your bridesmaids, I pushed them off to the last month. So the last month before my wedding was very stressful because it was the small things I did not do. Making those candy bags, oh my gosh. Going to BJ's, buying the candy, putting those together, the gifts. I pushed that off to the end.
That was because we were supposed to do an actual candy buffet, and then we couldn't because COVID.
Exactly. I had COVID with my wedding. So
You know.
there's little things. I would say, even though you have the main things booked, don't forget about the little things, because the closer you get to your wedding, you're going to have the family flying in, everything else going on. You don't need to be worrying about that.
And I do warn you. I did warn you that was going to
She
happen.
did, and I
just wanna
pushed
make sure,
everything
just want to make
off.
sure that's pointed out.
And that's the thing.
I do tell
pushed-
you to not leave those things to the end.
Which I did, yes, because you're going to be doing your seating chart last minute.
There's so many things that you can't do until the end. You know what I mean? And so many last minute things that come up. So you're like, oh, I have time to do that. And I will, we will tell you from the beginning, we're like, you do not have as much time as you think you have.
Oh, yeah, I literally bought my lingerie like 2 days before the wedding.
There you go.
So
least
all
you
I
got
can
it.
say is plan everything ahead of time. I kind of just let it fall off my schedule, and I do regret that. I wish I had really thought ahead.
Yeah, stayed on the checklist.
Yes.
I agree. I would have liked that too.
I don't know what I would have done differently. I was like,
A lot of time.
we didn't have a lot of time.
That's because we didn't have time.
That checklist was like
We flew
king.
away.
Although I want to say one thing about like getting your partner involved. For me, my husband was like kind of overwhelmed, and I showed him Pinterest just to be like, look how many options there are, and he was like, panic attack. So we worked out a thing where it was like I kind of knew the overall vision, and he wanted to be involved, and what we developed was like I would pick 3 options that I really liked, and then he would like pick one, and therefore he did like that.
And that's
was a
how
wa-
I do life now. Just so you know. And he'll
Another
be here
great skill.
later. He'll tell you.
Yeah, more
You
great
know?
skills to continue
Yeah.
into your marriage.
Yes.
So I don't know what I would have done differently other than like give us more time, which we couldn't because of a hurricane. So
Yeah. That's what it was. It was a hurricane hitting
Yeah.
Puerto Rico. Her wedding was supposed to be in Puerto Rico.
yeah.
So
And
they
it
got
felt like
canceled.
terrible.
It's
It felt
okay.
terrible like worrying about your wedding when like people don't have power, you know. But like you still had to like make a decision on it. So like it doesn't feel like I would have done that differently because I didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
But otherwise I thought we were a well-oiled machine.
We were.
Yeah.
We were. I would like to say I am, in general.
It rubbed off on me, is what I'm saying. Jess made me far better.
So what I put? What are your the week of regrets? You know, like so the week of. Was there anything that you learned,
Yes.
regretted? Oh, okay,
Yes,
go,
so
go,
many.
Go for it.
Okay, so I think for us though, almost everyone kind of flew into Miami. My husband and I live here, but no one else in our family does. So we had people coming up from Peru, and we had people coming from Michigan, and all over. And we planned a lot of events the week of. And I wish I didn't plan so much and take so much work on myself, because by the time it was our wedding day, I had like lost my voice, and I sounded like a man on in doing my vows. I'm like, and I promise to love you forever. Yes, because I like didn't have a voice. So that was a lot. It was like a little overwhelming, because you do want to be a good host, and you do want to make sure, you know, and it's like such a lovely thing to have people fly here for your wedding and prioritize your wedding. It's a really touching, lovely thing. I just wish I had like done more of if you'd like to meet up, we're going to be here from this hour to this hour, and like people can come see you, rather
Or
than like
delegate it.
Yeah, like rather than like I'll cook like breakfast for my whole family in my apartment, and that was don't.
You did that? I would have not recommended that.
It wasn't good. I'm telling you, it's a regret. Here we
Okay.
are sharing.
Okay, yeah, we're sharing. Yeah,
Yeah,
we're sharing.
just week of prioritize some time to
Yeah.
breathe, to calm, to not be juggling all of those things, because you're going to want it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know we try to remind you as much as possible to not, again, leave things for the week of, because last minute things do come up. But this is why you have bridesmaids, right? This is why you have your mom, your fiance's mom. Like, this is why you have those people. They want to do things, don't they? Right? So let them do these things, you know, give them a job. Like, it's okay. You don't have to worry about everything. It's actually really nice to show up and just be. You know, so keep that in mind. I know certain things are things like you want it to look like, but even for and I know this is different, for my gender reveal, I finally decided to let go and let other people do it, because you know I was huge, and so I was like, this is it, this is what, and I showed my family, I just showed them what I wanted, and then whatever it was, it was. You know what I mean? It's not the wedding. It wasn't like something big. So just, you know, kind of let them help so you can really actually enjoy being a bride. That's like the most important, you know?
Yeah, definitely social events. Give yourself some time.
I think my biggest thing was his whole family was from Georgia, and we agreed to house them. So we had his grandparents, his mom, his dad, his sister, and aunt and uncle all staying in our new house, which still hadn't even been unpacked. That was pretty stressful, and we hosted a barbecue like 2 days before, but having everybody in the house, you had no private time, you had no time to yourself, no time to we wanted to practice our dance.
Yeah.
We had a coordinated dance. I kept trying to tell him, we got to practice the choreography, but we never had time to be alone. So yes, while you do want to house your family, it's going to be stressful. So I learned my lesson with that. I didn't want them to have to get a hotel. We were trying to help them out, but
Yeah. Or plan ahead.
yeah.
Plan ahead so that way if you do it.
Looking back, I would have tried to find them an Airbnb or something.
Yeah.
We automatically said to them, stay at our house.
Yeah, because you're trying to be nice.
Exactly.
Yeah, of course.
But they have no car, so then I was the transportation.
You were also chauffeur.
Exactly.
Oh.
So it was the small things I didn't think about. Things like that.
No. That's or plan, like I said, plan ahead. Get it all done ahead of time, so that way you can spend that time doing that. You know what I mean? Think about those things. In other words, I guess is better said.
I regret not sleeping more.
Okay, I'll take that.
I worked until Wednesday, which I probably should have taken more time off, to be perfectly honest. And I continued to work from home on Thursday, answering phone calls and emails and things like that. So that was a little bit stressful in the midst of getting my nails done and picking up my dress. I do thank you for making me move my nail appointment from Friday till Wednesday.
You're welcome.
Actually, Thursday.
You're welcome.
It was great, but I actually would have done it earlier. I did get in a massage and a facial, so
There
that
you
was
go.
nice.
That is nice.
But other than that, just sleep, because really once our family all flew in as well, my sister hosted like a welcome dinner at her house. I delegated. It was supposed to be in our brand new house that we had just moved into, and I said no. So my sister that lives close by, she kindly offered. She hosted our families. We had dinner. But, you know, dinner turns into drinks, and drinks turn into chatting, and we hadn't all seen each other in a long time. We went to bed late. Thursday was a long day. Friday was a long day. We had our rehearsal dinner, went to bed late, and obviously we had a 6 a.m. wake-up time for hair and makeup. So it was just,
What happens when you get married at a church? You start early. Just an FYI. There's
it
no way
made
around
things tiring, and you just needed more Red Bull and coffee. But
Yeah.
sleep more.
Yeah, I agree with sleep more in general, you know, not just wedding, everything. Sleep more. I agree. That's great. So that's like week of. So then I also put here, because now we're on the day of, right? Because this is important. So day of, anything that you learned or that you would have done differently. So just like day of kind of tips and tricks.
I would have definitely pushed my start time for my ceremony later, so I did not have to wake up at 6 a.m.
How could we have done that? We were at a church.
I mean, I would have talked to the father to make it later.
Okay. Anything else?
If you can, the later you can get started, the better, because you already have jitters to begin with. So my niece, she's 13 and the cutest thing in the world, slept with me the night before. And I woke up at 4 in the morning, and I just sat there staring at her like, holy I'm getting married today.
Yeah.
It was a great feeling, but it was just very early. We had the girls for hair and makeup coming in at 6:30 in the morning, and it was just a long day. One thing that I learned that I think I knew I was going to need, I'm very extroverted and outgoing, but I also need my own time to be able to refuel that, is I had told Jess, I need some time for me. Once I'm ready and I'm being put into that dress, I need a minute for me to take it all in, deal with my, emotions, everything that you're going through, and do the things that you want to do by yourself. Like, no one wants to see you clean your ears or anything like that. Like, you don't need a photographer there for that. So, and that is something that we did. I remember, I'm Venezuelan, my husband's Greek. We have very loud families. The room was very loud, even though it wasn't a lot of people. And I looked at her and I said, and at Shelly, and I said, I need some time. I just want everybody to just, I need the room for me. So they closed the door, they put me in there by myself, we got dressed, and it was like the perfect 10, 15 minutes that I had for myself.
Yeah.
That
Which was
is
hard for you because your mom was great with that, but your sister was not. Her sister was very wanted to be there the whole time, which is very normal, of course, but it can be overwhelming for a bride, and it's okay to want 10 minutes. 10 minutes. It's just 10 minutes.
And what's funny about that is that now my family says how it was so nice for them to have been able to have an extra 20 minutes for themselves.
Oh, good.
That they didn't have to be pampering to you. They didn't have to be worried about sipping of my dress or anything. I had them. I mean, I don't think Shelly left my side the whole day. I think we were crazy glued to the hip. She was amazing. And neither did she. They were there. They sipped me up. They did everything. I had 2 pairs of shoes. They put one in each foot so I could figure out what I wanted to wear. And it was just amazing to have those 10, 15 minutes for myself to be able to take a few deep breaths and take it all in, because that's when you start feeling overwhelmed, I think. When you're dressed, your makeup, your hair is done, you're putting your dress on, and you're like, okay, it's time. So take 10, 15 minutes for yourself.
Time to absorb is important.
For the groom, too. Peter did it, too, and he actually
really
liked it.
Yeah, it's time to absorb. You know what I mean? Sometimes when you're being pushed from, that's why, for those of you that are our brides, we always talk about having those buffers and having those times in between. It's important to have those, because if we have to use them, because we're running behind, then they're there, right? But if we don't have to use them, then you can actually use that time to go to the bathroom. I know that sounds like a crazy concept, but it is a concept, you know what I mean? Go to the bathroom, take a bite of food, redo your lip. I mean, there's so many things that you want to do, or just sit there and take it all in for just a second, you know what I mean? Look at yourself in the mirror and be like, shit, I'm a bride today. You know what I mean? Like, that's awesome, you know what I mean? So just those times, and when we create those timelines, we do it on purpose so that you have those times to be able to kind of do those things, you know?
I don't think I had any regrets from the
You
day
were
of.
super chill. Yeah.
I was
The
so,
day of.
The day of, I was so calm. I mean, you had told
I'm
me.
honest here, all right? I'm
Wait,
honest.
but the day of, yeah, because like you told me order food. I had all this food in the room for the girls.
Yep,
everybody was sitting, chatting at the couch. I didn't even look at the hairdresser. You were on top of her.
Mm-hmm.
You were like, "All right, we got a timeline. Let's go." Like I didn't have any worry. We were
Good.
actually ahead of time.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
had
yeah,
extra
for you,
pictures.
yeah.
You were taking pictures like crazy on your phone. You were in charge of those boys, like amazing. I didn't know what was going on with my husband. I didn't know where he was. He wasn't answering texts.
You shouldn't be worried about them either.
I mean, her crew, there was someone
They'll be
with the
there, they'll be
boys. I had Jess in the room with me. Shelly came in the room. You were doing amazing pictures, helping, which I loved. I got those afterwards. Someone was with the boys constantly, and then you had the other girls downstairs doing all the venue setup. I was so calm. I had no regrets the day of. I
That's
was
great.
so relaxed. It
Yeah.
was a nice little party in the room.
That's right. And we always try to do that. We always try to take pictures throughout the day and then airdrop those to your phone at the end of the night so that you have them. So that the next day when you wake up, you're like looking at your pictures and you're like, oh, this is nice, you know? That behind the scenes that you never really get until later. So we try to do that for you guys throughout.
And you had my photo list printed out
Yeah,
from
which
Aisle
we did.
Planner, so I didn't even have to say, like, hey, I want this photo. You told the photographer everything, so I literally sat there, ate and chatted, and eat on
And
your
that's-
wedding day.
And that's the whole point, is trying to get everything organized ahead of time so that day there's less to think about. You know, it's a little bit of a pain in the planning process because who wants to sit there and make a list of who you want pictures with? But do you really want to do it that day? No. So, you know, it's important to kind of have some things pre-done.
Jess, the question is, what are the things
Day of?
Yeah,
Tips
the
and tricks.
Tips and tricks. Okay.
I know I think we've deviated.
We've-
I'm not
yeah,
sure
I
what
was
we've
like,
done.
I don't remember what the question was. Okay, so tips and tricks. I was really organized with the day of schedule for me. I had a really small wedding party. It was my little brother and my sister. I knew I didn't want to be around a ton of people. I just didn't want like all crazy energy. I knew that I wanted some calm, but there were still people I wanted to spend time with. So in the morning, my sister-in-law and mother-in-law came over and got their hair and makeup with me, but then they left and two other friends came and checked in on me and giggled and had a lunch and then like left. And then it worked really well for me, and people do want to be with you and they do want to celebrate with you, and it was sort of on my terms, which was really nice. Another thing we did that I know some people are kind of up in the air on, I love that we did a first look. It was, it's so much better for schedule, first of all. But like, we got to have that moment, and it didn't take the moment walking down the aisle away. You know there's a picture of my husband crying. I love it. Like,
Mine too, yeah. We did first look, and I have a picture of him crying.
yeah,
I'm like, what are you
because it
doing
is
crying?
different. If anything, it took a little bit.
Mine cried, yeah. Oh, Peter cried too? Yeah, we did a first look.
Favorite picture.
Yeah.
We did a first look.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't want to, but we did it, yeah.
Yeah, so I love that we did that. We also took a moment at one point, I think it was like the very end of cocktail hour, Jess kind of pulled us to the side and let us have a minute to breathe and be like, we just got married. Like, you know what I mean? That was really great. And there really wasn't anything I had to worry about on the day of because we had the team. And these women are fantastic. Like, the schedule was there. The schedule literally said at a certain point when the photographers were going to show up where my husband is, Tomas, you will have your pants on, your socks on, your shirt on, not your
Specific
jacket, not your
instructions
tie.
for the men,
Yeah,
sorry.
it was very detailed. Tomas still jokes about it, but you know he loved it. He was like, great, I'm going to be totally on top of this. Like, I'm going to make Jess proud. He did. So it was great because having this team really did take care of those little things so that when the photographer did get there, Tomas was ready and they could get those killer photos. And yeah, so I'd say figure out what you want for the day and just make it really clear. And if you want to be surrounded by 25 people, do it. if you're like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be a lot, I'm gonna need some time, do it. Like, just communicate it, and it'll make a big difference because you know what you can handle on that day. You know what you want, and that's great either way. But yeah, and I love the first look. Big fan.
That was going to be my thing too, because you were talking about it was, they each had different types of bridal party sizes. You had almost nothing.
Yep.
You had a good amount, 8. And you had 4, 3. Yeah. I had 10, but don't do that. Personal opinion. It was one of those family drama things, where you either do one or do them all. There's really no in between for me. I know. But I knew what I was getting myself into. I also really like people around me. Obviously, I throw parties for a living, so this is like my jam, right? So I was like, okay with that, but you do have to know yourself, like it's the same, like, for some of you that are my brides, we talk about it all the time. I'm like, do you want to go dress shopping with everyone, or is it just like a you thing? You know what I mean? Like, you have to know who you are and what you want to do, because you also can't, like, I love to go shopping by myself, but I wanted to do that one day where I did take my mom and my sister and my grandma and the whole 9 yards. And so I did that, I did the show, and then I did the for me. And that's okay. You know what I mean? So, like, know yourself and do what you want to do, which I know we've talked about a lot, but it's important. Oh, that was it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I had one more.
Definitely do a first look.
I'm all for it. So don't talk to me if you don't want to do it. All right, what's something your husband said about the wedding once it was all done? Let's talk about the men.
Tomas was really glad that they brought the wrong color of donuts because that bakery came through and brought a double thing of donuts. We had like so many.
They had found this cute little donut shop we had never used before, but great pricing. So we're like, yeah, let's do it. And they get there, and I was like, this is the wrong color. I knew it was the wrong color. It was wrong. It was all wrong.
It was pink glitter.
Yeah, it was nothing of what she had picked. And I'm just like, I remember specifically, I was like, I know this is wrong. I'll call her and I'm like, it's not pink glitter. And she's like, no. And I'm like, I didn't think so. And I called the lady and I was like, I don't know what you're gonna do. And she was like, I'll just make them again. And I'm like, let's make them again. And we had double the amount of donuts. That's great. So things go wrong.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah, it ended up being great. It's a story to
more
tell. Tomas loved the day. You get there. He's still, like, honestly, he'll never get over Jess giving him a list of how to be dressed. I think that's about right. But we loved the day. It was, we planned things. Okay, we need to make a decision because we don't have time to think about it. You don't have time to Pinterest it, and you don't have time to go on Instagram. So, like, what's you? What is you too? What represents you too? How do you want people to experience the day? You make the decision and you go with it. And honestly, they were the right decisions. It was kind of lovely, like bridal boot camp, wedding planning. I don't know about specific things he said other than, like, we just had the best day.
Yeah.
Everything was smooth. The EBJ team was just on top of absolutely everything. Anything we needed, they already had anticipated. Sorry, guys. There's, like, one point where, like, Jess, like, was helping me, like, wipe sweat under my dress. Like, she's just like, she's like, I'll block you. I got you.
It's hot.
It's
hot now.
I guess that.
Yeah, it's hot.
Miami.
It's Florida.
Yeah, no, there's really not. We're like immediate sisters for that. So I think overall he was just freaking thrilled, and you get married and it's special and it's what you've been planning for, and whether it's delayed and whether it's changed, it's the best.
Yeah.
There were 2 things my husband cared about on our wedding, and that was food and the band.
And he loved both.
Jess, before everybody got their food, we were at our table. She had the food brought to our table and told us, you're going to eat. And yes, you do eat, but I'm not going to lie. You got all your guests coming up to your table, even though they're not supposed to. They're going to come up and say hello to you. They're going to be like, oh, you look so beautiful, because the music just started. They're starting everybody else's cocktails. So everybody's going to come up to you, even though the food's right in front of you. She tells you to eat, and you're going to eat, but you're not going to eat that much because you're still in the dress. I'm not going to lie. Like, I ate like 3 bites, but I was in the dress. I was still kind of...
Yeah.
And we had our honeymoon the next day at like 5 a.m. We had to leave.
I don't recommend that.
Yes. We had to because of our vacation
Wait,
with
one
my
day.
job.
Yeah.
So I didn't get another week, so I had to take our honeymoon right after the wedding. We didn't eat much. What Austin loved is we got up to the room, and the girls had put the food in boxes for us upstairs. We did a Mickey Mouse dessert bar. We didn't get any of it because we're Disney fanatics. And she had a whole plate of all the pastries up there for us, the chocolate covered strawberries, everything. We literally sat there for an hour and a half and ate in our PJs. Like, I think he was still in his suit. And that was the best thing to him because everybody tells you to eat at your wedding. I'm not gonna lie, you're only gonna have like 3, even him, he only had like 3 bites, and all he cared about was food. And it was all in the room. And it was just a perfect ending to our night at like 2 a.m. sitting there eating.
Wedding night goals?
I loved it. We were just like sitting there eating, talking about the whole night, and he couldn't.
So tired by that time. All you want to do is
He was just so
chill.
happy.
Yeah.
We opened the door to the hotel, walked upstairs, and his eyes lit up when he saw what you guys did to our room.
Oh, that's great. Sweet.
There were 2 things. So I think I love checklists. I love to plan things. My sister and I probably were, I don't know, hair, makeup, and party planners in our past lives. We love to do it. So when we first started planning and we hired Jess, he's like, if you think we need this, then we're all for it. It's your decision. You're the one that's going to do, the bulk of things as the bride. Do you really want it? Do you really need it? And at the time I said yes. And I think he didn't realize the full value of it until actually the day of and the day after. And the other thing is we were...
You're talking about the full value of hiring a planner?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Hold on, the conversation gets better about that. The other thing was we bought a house while we were planning a wedding in a very short period of time. 2021 has been a very expensive year. And we moved about 3.5 weeks prior to the wedding into our new home. And of course, it's a lot of money, painting, renovating some things. And at the time, both of us, I remember sitting on our first night at our home. There was nothing in there except a bottle of wine we had bought and some pizza, and saying, wow, if we would have known we would have gotten a house, should we had still done such a big party or a big wedding? And we questioned it. You question it when you go through life. And we left for our honeymoon 2 days after, not the day after. And I remember sitting in the plane, and our photographer had just sent us a sneak peek of a lot of pictures, and we both got tearful. And before I even could ask him, he looked at me and he said, I am so happy we had Jess, and I am so happy that we did the wedding the way that we did. I have no regrets. It is such a special day that I'll never forget. And it makes me tearful to think about it, because it is true. You'll question it when you're frustrated with a decision, with a vendor, with a dress, with your family, with expectations and everything else. And you're like, oh, let's just elope. I said that more than once. But after the day of, we have no regrets. We're so happy that we did it. And he is so happy, which to me, like, it was validation of all the hard work that we did over the past years. So
That's great. That's good. That's good. Any questions for these ladies? No? All right, great. So I'm going to let you guys be, but I want to remind you real quick. So we have our 360 photo booth all set up in here. So make sure you guys enjoy it. It's from MPE, from the guys in the... Meet them as well if you haven't. Of course, we still have mimosas. We still have brunch. And in the front, don't forget to go in there and play with your color linens, okay, on the table. So that way you know what you're looking for when the time comes, okay? It's very important to do that. You don't always get the chance to just sit there and play with a room of linens. I promise you that. All right? So thank you, ladies, so much again for joining. I'll be around if you guys have any questions, okay?